I feel the most important aspect, if I'm talking of a lady officer, would be infertility. So, infertility and maybe PCOS, maybe being a little overweight, all these things do play a role. Also, something which is highly ignored is depression. We don't even come to know that a person is depressed.
I think women are very unaware that it starts from their mental health. अगर उनको PCOD है, it's about their mental health. अगर उनको diabetes है, insulin resistance है, it starts from their mental health.
Absolutely.
And women just think that अरे मेरे को बहुत ज़्यादा stress हो रहा है, अगर मैं ये ठीक कर लूँगी तो शायद मेरा PCOD भी ठीक हो जाएगा, right? But what is the root cause of that stress?
I used to do my breast examination. I found out that I had a liver. We were four friends who were diagnosed during COVID time as breast cancer. Two of us were comparatively in an earlier stage and we survived it. Two who did not do self-breast examination, they died. There is one very nice thing that I always say, SLQ. You know what is SLQ?
You would highlight.
SLQ, I say, is self-love quotient. The self-love quotient should be zooming. So there is a very nice movie called Jab We Met, in which there is a girl called Geet who says, "मैं अपनी favorite हूँ." So every morning, get up after cancer. I have always done this. I look at the mirror, I put my hand on my heart and say, "मैं अपनी favorite हूँ."
मैं अपनी favorite
I love myself. Start loving yourself. The moment you start loving yourself, you can get a person out of army. But you can't get the army out of the person. So it just grew on me.
Hello everybody, welcome to another podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Dr. Colonel Gunjan Malhotra. Let's understand her journey, her stories, and then we will take it from there. You can start by your introduction and then we can start.
Hello, I am Dr. Colonel Gunjan Malhotra. I am a veteran gynecologist who has proudly served Indian Army for over 24 years. Thank you for having me here.
I'm honored to have you here.
Thank you, Saloni.
Alright, so let's start from the very beginning, ma'am. How did you enter into army?
This is a very interesting question. I have always believed in destiny and I have always believed in God. These are two things which have always, created my path and got me through my path in these 24 years of my army and beyond. Me and my husband met in our medical school in Kasturba Medical College, Mangalore, and of course we fell in love. We got married, and the first thing that happened to us was the short service exam, and both of us cleared it together. We didn't want to be separated, so we joined it together. We joined with the motive that after the short service of 5 years, we will be leaving and we'll start our own nursing home and beyond. But it never happened because the uniform that we wore, olives, it grew on us, and that patriotic streak also grew on us. There's a very interesting story. My sister-in-law, Colonel Mamta Sareen, was already posted at Roorkee. And we had just gone to see her to check out how the army life is. And the moment I saw her in uniform, I was really impressed. And then during entering the gate of the cantonment, the guard over there, he just gave a cat karke, Jai Hind ma'am. And I was very sure that I was joining this. And little did I know that I was getting into something I will not be able to get out of. They say that you can get a person out of army, but you can't get the army out of the person. So it just grew on me.
So, one best thing about army which shaped your life?
If you would actually tell me that one thing which shaped my life, as far as army is concerned, I think it is discipline. And discipline in any form, discipline in the fact that if you've been called to a place, you reach on time. People make fun of me in civil that now that I'm out of army, I reach early. तो लोगों की अभी सिर्फ chairs ही लग रही होती हैं and I'm there. So I think discipline is something which starts from within, and army inculcates it beautifully. So that's, I think, one of the great things. If you have discipline, you are very particular about your punctuality, about the way your body is, you're taking care of it. These are all the things that are inculcated when you're in army.
Right. And do you think that discipline helps in better health?
Absolutely. There is no doubt on that. Because if you are disciplined, you will eat right. If you are disciplined, you will exercise right. You will not keep on dodging. I have a few friends of mine who are obese, overweight. They postpone their doing exercise to the next day, to the next month. Or even in every day when we get up, in the army we are told to make our own bed. You start from there. And if you start your day like that with achieving small things in your life, I think you will achieve success in bigger things too.
How are the hormones of female in army?
I think at the moment after Op Sindoor, our hormones are on a high, and we all are really proud of both the girls.
Right.
But as far as stress is concerned, when you're posted at peripheries, when you're posted alone with your families, definitely it plays a role. I wouldn't really equate it to the civilian population, because in civil there is no discipline. So that because of the lack of discipline and not taking care of yourself in army setup, whether it is a male officer or a female officer, they have to undergo annual medicals. And you have to clear it. You have to be within the weight constraints. So you are very careful. But as far as stress is concerned, definitely that affects women. Not to the extent where civil is concerned, but definitely maybe 20% of the women do get affected.
In what ways? What concerns do they face?
I feel the most important aspect, if I'm talking of a lady officer, would be infertility. So infertility and maybe PCOS, maybe being a little overweight, all these things do play a role. Also, something which is highly ignored is depression. We don't even come to know that a person is depressed. And most of us, as we were just discussing a few minutes before, this people tend to shy away from depression, shy away from psychological disorders, which is not right. You have doctors for everything. For your gynae, you have a gynecologist. For neuro problems, you have a neurologist. Similarly, for any mental health disorder, you have a psychiatrist. You should not be shying away from that.
Right.
So in army per se, I think it is more to do with stress levels may not be that high, because many of us, we join army at the age of 25, 26. And then you are in field, you come out from field, you get married. By the time you get married, you're almost 30. So that aspect of infertility definitely comes in. And that has got to do with, I think, mostly, stress.
All right. What percentage do you think, according to you, are infertile or infertility issues are happening?
If you think of 10 women, are you talking of army or
Yes.
otherwise?
In army, you can tell first.
Maybe about 1 to 2%. Not that much. Like out of 20%, 10 to 20% maybe infertile at that age group.
All right. Do you think that infertility has become a big problem these days as a gynecologist, since you are
Yes. And
serving?
the reason is very clear. Nowadays, people are not producing children early, which I don't think is something to be questioned. Nowadays we are talking of gender biases, we are talking of gender equality, we are talking of inclusion of women in various fields. We are making them CEOs of companies, we are making them like you are doing your own company. So when that happens, then you are concentrating more on your careers. So the moment a person is concentrating on the career, like a male counterpart, you tend to think of having a family in your later life. So once that happens, so around, say, if you are planning a family after 35, then the quality of the ovums also goes down. So in that case, definitely there is a chance that a girl may face infertility.
What is the right age according to you?
If you'll ask me, I think maybe before 30 one must have a child.
All right. And what are the biological aspects which change after 31 according to you?
There are a lot of things that actually change. If we are talking of infertility, as I'm saying, the AMH levels drop drastically.
Right.
And once that drops, then the kind of ovum or kind of sperm, the quality of that comes down.
Right.
And once that comes down, the chance of person to conceive naturally is a little tough. That is why there are so many things that are available in the
Right.
assisted reproductive techniques, from an IUI to IVF to beyond.
Right.
So yeah, these are the main things which
Do you think that PCOD is the root cause of infertility these days?
yes, stress is the root cause. And if which is the hormone which is responsible for stress? That is cortisol. If cortisol levels go high, obviously the patient will tend to have PCOD.
But when people come to you as patients, are they aware about their cortisol levels going high?
Not really. They are very much aware of PCOD, and many of them will come to me as in this ultrasound there is a PCOD, ma'am, and they are shattered that now will I get married? Will I be able to produce a baby? I just tell them one thing: I never prescribe 10 medicines. I go to the lifestyle modification first. I turn the page of my prescription pad and I start writing that. It is so much about what you take inside, what kind of diet you have, what kind of routine you have, what kind of discipline you have in your life. That is the thing which will actually determine the level of your cortisol. That will also determine the extent of your PCOS.
I think women are very unaware that it starts from their mental health. अगर उनको PCOD है, it's about their mental health. अगर उनको diabetes है, insulin resistance है, it starts from their mental health.
Absolutely.
And women just think that अरे मेरे को बहुत ज़्यादा stress हो रहा है, अगर मैं ये ठीक कर लूँगी तो शायद मेरा PCOD भी ठीक हो जाएगा. Right? But what is the root cause of that stress?
That needs to be studied. Right. What is the root cause of your stress? Because once a woman is stressed, anyone is stressed, you tend to eat more. Once you're eating more, you'll get obese. Once you're obese, you'll get all kind of metabolic disorders and cancers included nowadays. So when we are dealing with PCOS, you need to go back into the childhood of that person. It is not about just that she's 25, so we are seeing the last 2-3 years. It is the childhood. How she has been brought up, what kind of environment she has been in, what kind of food she eats, what kind of routine she has. So when I start asking a person, lady, that about her menstrual history, first thing that I ask is, what time do you sleep at night? And most of the times, the person is sleeping at 4 in the morning. Because the phone is always with her, and she keeps her phone next to her. She sleeps at 4, gets up at whatever is 8 or 9 and rushes to the office and doesn't get enough sleep. And that becomes a routine cycle. And that itself causes the cortisol levels to go high.
Right.
So I think that it starts from there. And one needs to actually modify the lifestyle first and then think about other things. Like you have to give metformin, or you have to give insulin sensitizers, you have to give any other kind of medicines, you have to give hormones. Nowadays, if you're giving hormones, you have to be very careful.
Right.
Previously, we used to believe that if we are giving hormones, nothing will happen. But now studies are coming. If you're giving too many hormones, a patient can have ovarian cancers.
Right.
It's related to cancers. So one has to be very careful whatever we give to the patients. I think the right advice would be to modify the lifestyle of a person.
Right. You mentioned about cancer, and I know that you are a cancer survivor yourself. What do you think led you at that particular situation, and how did you come out of it? I want to know it all.
God, this is a question which is asked to me so many times, and believe me, it's my favorite question too. In the sense that In 2013, my son was diagnosed as a case of juvenile diabetes. We didn't have anyone in the family who had juvenile diabetes. And initially, I'm very pragmatic, I'm very scientific in my approach. We started by his giving him insulin and getting him back on track. He was a small kid, so kids are usually fond of sweets. I wish this part of sweets that is introduced into kids' food habits should be absolutely chopped off. So we got him back on track, but people around me started telling me that he has juvenile diabetes and you're shattered. This has such a great or such a bad mental effect on anyone, that when you feel that you are shattered because of the illness of your child. I started actually manifesting my cancer. When I used to take his blood sugar, I would actually say, "Hey Bhagwan, iski bimari mujhe mil jaye." So it's so much mental. I manifested my cancer at that time. The other factor which I could actually pinpoint was being an army officer. I was posted in Tajikistan, and for about briefly for 3 or 4 months, I think I had a habit of having beer. And that was the only habit which I can pinpoint. So nowadays they say that alcohol, if somebody tells you how much alcohol you could have that you don't have cancer, you should not have alcohol at all. So that is the only thing which I could pinpoint. One was the stress of my son's disease, and the other was the alcohol. So the better thing would be, like, as a gynecologist, I had breast cancer, which was stage 3. I feel that every woman is responsible for her own mental issues, her bodily issues, and it is a kind of responsibility. So it is always better to do a self breast examination.
How to do it?
Yes, how to do it? That's a very important question. After, if a lady is menstruating, then soon after the menstruation, the lady should do a self breast examination, in which she has to palpate her breast, has to observe if there is any. Usually, the breast size, each breast size, there's a little bit of a difference. If she finds a difference being more, or there are any kind of ulcers, any kind of lesions which are visible, if she palpates and she feels a lump inside the breast or in the axilla, in my case I could feel a axillary lump, a very small axillary lump. They say that breast lumps are usually painless, but in my case it was painful. And within 15-20 days, I had a very small lump in my right side of the breast, and I knew that there was something wrong. Now what happens is, you see, I am a doctor, and for the next about 2 to 3 weeks I dodged it. I took antibiotics. I knew there was something wrong, but I still dodged it. So if you're talking of the normal population, many of the women will even hesitate to go to a doctor. What will people say? Breast examination karaungi, ye karaungi. So of course, the social thing that they would have. So I used to do my breast examination. I found out that I had a lump. We were 4 of us, 4 friends, who were diagnosed during COVID time as breast cancer. 2 of us were comparatively in an earlier stage, and we survived it. 2 who did not do self-breast examination, they died. So for every woman, every month you must do a self-breast examination. Examine the breast, examine the axilla for any rump. If you have any doubts, go to your doctor immediately. If it is a menopausal lady, she should fix a date, say 15th of a month, and do the same thing. In men who have a high risk of cancers, they should also examine their breast. And wherever there is doubt, you must go to the doctor. Similarly, in the women who are over 45, they should get their mammographies done. And in this same line, lot of patients who come to me, I'm going to talk about cervical cancer. It is said that a woman dies every 8 minutes in our country due to cervical cancer. Breast cancer is the topmost cancer in women. The second one is cervical cancer. And the sad part is, it is preventable. And we just dodge it. By giving vaccination to our little girls as a birthday gift from 9 to 14 years, I think that would be the fantastic thing to do. And the women who are sexually active at the age of 30 or 35, they should undergo a liquid based cytology, that is a screening procedure. Which, I had gone to RML, it's a very good hospital here, government hospital. Amongst the medical population, there were only 2 women in the entire crowd who had got their, not the vaccine, they had got their screening done. Imagine.
I recently did a poll in the office and we found that only 4 women are vaccinated for cervical.
Imagine.
And they are all health practitioners.
And all this is preventable. The sad part is that.
Doctor, let's circle back to smaller problems, PCOD. One in
you
every.
Think it's a small problem?
Now it's so common. It's as common as diabetes.
Absolutely.
1 in every 3 women are struggling with PCOD. And yet we have such less awareness. Women do not talk about PCOD as one would talk about diabetes. Diabetes ke liye kaise openly bol dete I have diabetes. But if someone has PCOD, she hesitates. Okay, why should I tell?
I'll tell you the reason behind that. What I gather from my experience of gynecology. Mostly if a girl is unmarried, she is scared whether after marriage she will be able to conceive. So if she goes around telling everybody that I have PCOD, will she be able to get married? So the first time a girl comes to my clinic, I just tell them to keep that PCOD wala ultrasound aside. Let us start from exactly how your lifestyle is. And then you come down to a lot of things that tick. From sleeping late at night, from eating junk food, from not exercising, not taking care of yourself, your body. I think it all boils down to that. So I think PCOD is more of a scare. Then I start asking them, so do you have acne? No. Do you have hirsutism? No. Do you have acanthosis? Maybe a little. That, it is a vicious circle. When you see a PCOD report, you get more stress, your cortisol levels increase, and it becomes a vicious circle. You start eating more, you get depressed. And along with this, a lot of people also have hypothyroidism, surprisingly. Hypothyroidism, about 2 decades back, we didn't know about this disease. But now every 3rd or 4th person is having hypothyroidism. So everything is interrelated and has to be seen in that light.
Don't you think that everything is interrelated and it boils down to your diet and lifestyle?
Absolutely. There's no doubt on that. You will not believe it. I was very fond of drinking milk. And as a kid, I would drink 2-3 glasses a day. But after my cancer, I actually realized that I had lactose intolerance. I couldn't have milk. Similarly, how many of us do actually know what foods are allergic to us? When you give a panel to a patient, most of them have an ostrich mentality. That why should I get all my tests done? If it turns out to be something, what will happen? If it turns out to be something, you will be treated for that.
Right.
So if someone has food allergies, someone has allergy to nuts, to milk, to gluten, I think it is better to get it out, get the reports done, be scientific in your approach, and get treated for that. Than just waiting and having an ostrich mentality. So that one thing I always face in my practice.
As a gynecologist, what do you think is the right approach to manage PCOD?
I would, as I previously mentioned, I give lifestyle modification the first thing. And you're a dietitian yourself, you would understand it so much that it is not that, a lot of people will say, I keep on exercising, I don't lose weight. It is not just exercise. I think it is firstly your diet, second your mental health, and third your exercise. If you're doing it right, then you can come out of PCOD, and the people who don't have, they will not have.
Doctor, we women, our clients have one common question. Is PCOD reversible or manageable? Let's clear it for all.
PCOD is manageable. It is not reversible, but it is a blessing in disguise that it is manageable, because if it is manageable, you will continue to take care of your diet, you will continue exercising, and you will also continue taking care of your mental health. Please understand that mental health is as important as bodily health. So there are doctors, there are psychologists, there are psychiatrists who are meant for this problem. Please don't shy away. Please go to them, show yourself, and become fit.
So it's manageable.
Absolutely.
Because we get so many questions, अरे मैम रिवर्स तो हो जाएगा ना, but then we tell them that it is manageable. तो मतलब मुझे सारी उम्र डाइट करनी पड़ेगी? We tell them that it's not सारी उम्र डाइट, सारी उम्र अच्छा लाइफस्टाइल.
Absolutely. It's, this mentality has to go. Because, see, what I gather from these 51 years of my life is that there are three things which will take you a long way. One is if your cardiac health is good. One is if your brain health is good, including your mental health. And third is your mobility. How will that mobility come? If your weight is under a check, you're exercising regularly. It is like a machinery. If you don't exercise regularly, it will get jammed, and you'll have so many times. A lot of people have this kind of nature where they blame it to things, and they don't shy away. They make bahanas that because of my obesity I'm not able to do my exercise, and because of that I'm having osteoporosis, I'm having problems with my knees, with my other joints and everything. No, it is the other way around. Because you never took care of it, you never took care of exercising every day. Just about 45 minutes a day, taking out from 24 hours is no big deal. And that is also for yourself. 45 minutes, 4 to 5 times a week is not a big deal.
Right.
And another thing which I would stress on is, which I learned after my cancer, was meditation. I used to believe before that, I was 45 then, and I used to believe that meditation I will do once I'm 70. वो बुड्ढों के लिए होती है, मेरे को नहीं करनी है. But then when I started my chemo, I realized that I had to change something in my entire lifestyle so that I get that mental strength. And meditation gives you the space and the mental strength.
One message that you would like to give to younger women so that they are able to prevent PCOD, cancers?
I think the message would be that, this body is yours. You have to take responsibility of your body. Whether it is PCOD, whether it is a cancer, all these things are preventable. If you are taking care of your mental health, you have a warrior mindset, you are not getting into that zone where you give away, you just think that मैं कुछ खा लेती हूँ या मेरे को डिप्रेशन हो रही है तो मैं कुछ और चीज़ करूँ. Go very scientifically, have a very scientific approach towards anything that you're facing in your life. The first issue could be a mental issue. Please address it. It could be a gynecological issue. Please address it. If it is related to PCOD, PCOD is not treatable. It is manageable. And the blessing in disguise is, if you are taking care of your diet every day, if you're taking care that you're doing your exercise every day, you're taking care of your body, it is good for you. So do that, because if you take care of your body, you'll be healthy, and you'll be able to take care of your family. That's my message.
I am so grateful to have you on my podcast, and I had a great time talking to you. Your insights were very valuable for all the young and aged women out there. They can help manage their lifestyle better. So thank you for coming here and sharing your insights.
Thank you, Saloni. It's an honor to be here. And I just hope these insights help each one of the women to start early, whether it is yoga, meditation, diet, exercise, dietary habits, or taking care of, love yourself. There is one very nice thing that I always say, SLQ. You know what is SLQ?
You would highlight.
SLQ, I say, is self-love quotient.
Oh,
the
wow.
self-love quotient should be zooming. So there is a very nice movie called Jab We Met, in which there is a girl called Geet who says, "मैं अपनी favorite हूँ." So every morning, get up. After cancer, I have always done this. I look at the mirror. I put my hand on my heart. Please do that. Please do that.
Okay.
Put my hand on my heart and say, "मैं अपनी favorite हूँ."
मैं
मैं
अपनी
अपनी favorite
फेवरेट
I
हूँ.
love myself. Start loving yourself. The moment you start loving yourself, you love your body, you love your mind, and you will take care of yourself.
Thank you so much
God
for
bless.
inviting.